Welcome to another episode of the NYLTA podcast, where we talk about all things regarding the New York LLC Transparency Act. My name is Tiffany Colon, and I am the COO of NYLTA.com.
And my name is Ryan DeFreitas, and I am the Chief Executive Officer of NYLTA.com. So,
what are we talking about today?
We're going to be talking about exemption attestation.
Yes, we already have a previous episode regarding how to file or what a beneficial owner is and what criteria that meets. We also have an episode regarding who needs to file these things, but we haven't gone over what is an exemption attestation and who needs to file that.
Yeah. So when you think of an exemption, I don't have to do this.
You're exempt.
I'm right. I do not have to do this. Well, what's an exemption attestation, right? It's a technical term, and most people don't understand what exemption attestation is. So on our NYLTA.com filing flow, that's what we like to call it. On there's two paths. There's the beneficial ownership and then the exemption. So most people have the idea, well, domestic companies don't have to file. So they're automatically exempt. They don't have to file anything. But now you're a foreign entity. And you're
a foreign entity is?
Outside, if your business was formed outside of the United States. And now you are required to file. But how do I know if I'm exempt? Well, we have the criteria at NYLTA.com, but we're going to explain a little bit today. So there's 23 different exemptions which are mirrored from the BOIR, the Beneficial Ownership
Corporate Transparency Act.
Corporate Transparency Act. And it's very few and far in between for small to medium-sized companies that have these exemptions. But those exemptions could be you're a bank, you're a smaller bank, credit union, securities company. You have to deal with insurance.
Correct.
You have a certain amount of employees.
Right, over 20 employees.
Right, 20 employees, and you're doing a certain amount of income. So the exemptions, when you look at the exemptions and you're saying, well, do I fall into any of these categories? So this is where non-compliance can happen. Because if you file a beneficial ownership and you weren't supposed to, obviously, no harm, no foul. Because I think for the New York Department of State, more information is probably better. But not classifying yourself properly and you think you're exempt and you don't file and you're supposed to because you think you fall under a certain category and you don't. So who's going to clarify that? That's where NYLTA.com comes in. That's where we come in.
Well, isn't it a little bit of a double whammy or a catch-20?
Double-edged sword,
because it's, okay, I'm exempt, but you have to tell them that
you're
exempt. That you're exempt.
Right.
Now, you have to say why you're exempt.
Well, here's the challenging part. Okay, so which one of these categories do I fall under? So I am this company, but I don't know if I'm certainly, if I'm under these parameters. So it can get very confusing.
It can.
So not only, and even on our website, they may not know the right information, but guess what they can do? They can make a quick phone call.
Yeah.
Reach out to us by email.
Email us, go to our website, use our contact page, contact us page.
Absolutely. And that's why it's good to have a partner like NYLTA.com because you don't have to think too hard about this. If it's a challenging part, and sometimes you may have a little hiccup on the site because you don't know if you have that information, and we are only as good as the information that they put inside the system. But that's where the difference is between going through a government portal, because who are they going to contact at the New York Department of State if they can even reach anybody? Right?
Maybe in 10 to 12 business days, you might get a response.
Right. And that's the challenging part. So this is where we supersede that system and we can walk you right through that process. No hiccups. So.
And I think also the changing factor is that we're not necessarily giving advice. It's just factual what is based on current guidance.
Right. Yeah.
whether yes or no. There's very rarely is there a gray area because of how we designed our platform.
Yeah.
That it's our tagline is compliance made simple, and we really laid it out to make it easy so it diminishes that gray area.
Yeah. And I think for foreign companies, and already enough is that they've decided to come to the United States. Maybe they're smaller, maybe they're a bigger company. And there's a lot of challenges because people don't realize that, if I make my LLC in the Cayman Islands and then I come here in the United States and then I convert it to an LLC, am I still considered a foreign company? So they have all these different challenges because there's little things that they miss.
Little nuances.
That they're not going to know. And sometimes it's challenging because guess what? A certified public accountant, a CPA, they're good at what they do. They're going to say, more than likely, they're going to say, you probably need to hire a NYL, a transparency lawyer, or they're going to guide you to a company like ours, and they're going to say, go to the professionals in that industry. That's why we specifically made this. This wasn't the United States LTA. This is the New York, right? This is the NYLTA compliancy law, and that's why we specifically made this for New Yorkers, because New York is creating the path. New York is building what we think here at NYLTA. We think this is going to affect a lot of states in the upcoming years. So foreign companies, domestic companies, there will be lots of changes in the future. And an exemption attestation is just a part of this, right? Even though, and again, it's few and far, companies that will be exempt.
Yeah.
Even with foreign entities, it's going to be very few.
Yeah.
But for those that stumble on this, that's why our system is so powerful, because it takes all the guessing out for them, right? And what does guessing do? That can lead to assumptions, and then you assume this.
It leads you liable to possibly those $500 day
Penalties.
non-compliance penalties.
Right.
Which in another episode, we're going to go over what being non-compliant is and what that means for your business.
Yeah. And you shouldn't have to struggle with this, right? Again, when we sat down, you and I had this vision, and I said, we have to create this not only for New York, but for the businesses that come, right? That come to the United States, that have an opportunity, they want to build. They have a disadvantage, right? Because they're not familiar with laws and this and that. And guess what? We're fulfilling the obligation of not just New Yorkers, but to fellow immigrants that come here to do great business, and we want to guide them through that process. Because if an exemption attestation affects their business in the wrong way and they don't know, and they try to do this on their own, or maybe someone in their family tries to give them support and they don't know, it starts to get very, very challenging.
And it also goes back to clarity, because how many times did we encounter professionals in the state of New York that didn't know about this law?
Yeah.
Registered agents that didn't know about this law.
Yeah. Remember when, I think it was maybe a day or two after the launch, and a gentleman reached out to us, and he happened to have a foreign LLC. And he said, he didn't realize who we were or what we did. He thought we were a company.
Yeah.
And when I heard the story from one of our staff, and I said, "Wait, tell me this, because these are the things I love sharing when we do PR newswires and things like that, and obviously this podcast." And he said, "Yeah, he thought that being a foreign LLC, he thought that the company," and we don't want to name the company, but it was one of the larger registered agent companies. And he said, they said they don't even know what this law is.
Yeah.
So that just to show you, and when I say that, I'm talking about a larger organization.
This was a very large organization.
Yeah, I know, and it's probably a publicly traded organization.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they said, we've never heard of that. That's what the customer said to our employee. So to me, that lets us know it doesn't matter how big you are. You know, some people don't even have this on their radars, but it's bigger than what we imagine it would be, because it's affecting 1.8 million LLCs.
Sure, absolutely.
Right. And when I say 1.8, monitoring and filing, foreign and domestic, you know? So this is why this exemption attestation, this was a good episode. It's when we kind of like, exemption attestation, how many people
exempt, so I don't have to do anything. And that's actually the complete opposite. Is if you genuinely fall into that exemption category, you have to file that you're exempt.
Yeah. So I want to say thank you for joining us for another episode of NYLTA.com. If you love our content, please subscribe with the link below. You can see us on all platforms on Meta. And we just want to say thank you for tuning in for another episode. This is NYLTA.com, where compliance
made simple.